Another video here with the Seattle Seahawks team breakdown. So let's get right into it. Last season, 9-8 record, second in the NFC West, seventh in the NFC, lost in the wild card round of the playoffs. A surprisingly good team last year. A lot of people, including myself, thought that losing Russell Wilson and replacing him with Geno Smith would mean that the Seahawks would be not a very good team at all last season. And well, pretty much no one would have expected Geno Smith to severely outperform Russell Wilson last year and have more success with the Seahawks than Russ did with the Broncos. And the Seahawks actually were a pretty solid team last season. And Geno earned himself a contract extension and is now their franchise quarterback. Looking at their additions, defensive lineman Draymond Jones, safety Julian Love, defensive lineman Jaron Reed, and then you bring back Bobby Wagner, who was on the Seahawks before in that their legendary Legion of Boom defense, and also Devin Bush. So, 5 defensive pieces, some starters, some depth, but solid additions. Bobby Wagner, the main one. Looking at the losses, you have defensive linemen Al Woods and Poona Ford, who were replaced with the additions we saw earlier. Offensive lineman Gabe Jackson, edge Shelby Harris. 3 running backs in Travis Homer, Tony Jones, and Rashad Penny. Wide receiver Marquise Goodwin, and safety Ryan Neal. Overall, I don't think any of these losses are too major. I think all of them were suitably replaced or didn't have a significant enough role on the team to to have an impact be felt in their loss. Obviously, Rashad Penny, you have Kenneth Walker there, and you just drafted Zach Charbonnet, who I'll get to on the next slide. So that's solved, and then safety and defensive line depth was addressed in free agency as well. Looking at the draft class, very good draft. You get Devin Witherspoon with your first pick. He was the first corner drafted out of Illinois. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba with your second first-round pick, who I would say is the top receiver in the draft. So very good first round. You had one of the top secondary players in the draft and one of the top offensive weapons in the draft. Then you also get Derek Hall, edge out of Alabama, Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA, to probably have a committee role with Kenneth Walker, who had a good rookie season last year, in addition to Anthony Bradford, Cameron Young, Mike Morris, Olu Oluwatimi, Jarek Reed II, and Kenny McIntosh, another running back. So yeah, overall, I think a very good draft class. And overall, a good offseason for the Seahawks. I think they got even better than last season, and hopefully Geno Smith, going into year 2 as the Seahawks starting quarterback, continues to improve. Looking at their opponents, they play in the NFC West, so challenging game with the 49ers, or 2 challenging games with the 49ers, Rams and Cardinals not as much. You also play the NFC East and the AFC North, however, and there are some very tough teams in both of those divisions. You also play the Panthers and Lions, which could pose threats to the Seahawks, as well as the Titans, who I think are probably not on the same tier as the Lions and Panthers, but could also be a solid team with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. Looking at a ceiling for the Seahawks, I personally think that they are one of the top teams in the NFC, behind only really the Eagles. I feel like not a lot of people think that. A lot of people are saying that the 49ers are clearly the next best team and kind of sleeping on the Seahawks, who are in their own division. I do have their ceiling at 14-3, only losing to the 49ers once, the Bengals and the Ravens, winning the rest of their games, which are the Rams twice, Cardinals twice, 49ers once, Steelers, Browns, Commanders, Panthers. They are one of the few teams that I actually picked to defeat the Eagles in this ceiling scenario. Obviously, Eagles my favorite team, so haven't really given them many losses. Also beating the Cowboys, Giants, Lions, and Titans. On the other side of things, I have their floor at 10-7, which is still better than they were last year, and last year was still an impressive season for them. In this scenario, I have them sweeping the Rams and Cardinals again, splitting the 49ers, beating the Steelers, Browns, and Commanders at home, losing to the Panthers and Eagles, and then beating the Giants and Titans away and losing to the Bengals, Ravens, Cowboys, and Lions. As for my prediction for them, I do have them at 12-5, which would be good enough to win the NFC West, one win ahead of the 49ers, who I predicted at 11-6. I think that the Seahawks are probably the second best team in the NFC behind the Eagles. And I just think that they're kind of being slept on right now. They have a ton of offensive weapons: DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. I think Geno Smith proved last year that he can be a good enough quarterback for this team. You also have a defense with a pair of young corners who should do very well. Tariq Woolen, who we saw last season, and Devin Witherspoon, who you just drafted. Hopefully he turns out well. Also have some other good players on that defense, bringing back Bobby Wagner. Jamal Adams is there, among other pieces. So looking at the games here, sweeping the Rams and Cardinals once again, splitting the 49ers, beating the Steelers, Browns, Eagles, and Commanders at home, losing to the Panthers at home, and then beating the Giants, Lions, and Titans away while losing to the Bengals, Ravens, and Cowboys away. So that's all I have to say about the Seattle Seahawks for next season. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and or subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.